Well, the good news is that clearance rates are up, so too are volumes. Kevin Brogan from CoreLogic with all the good news in just a moment.
Standing out affordably in a cluttered media landscape is difficult, but now there is a way using social media, buyer targeting and an engaged audience looking and thirsty for property information. The Property Show is an exclusive offering from realty.com.au that can profile and promote your listing to hundreds of thousands of eager and targeted property buyers and sellers. You'll be surprised at the low cost and enormous benefit of combining new media, social media and audience targeting. So get started by following the link on the homepage at Real Estate Uncut.
Welcome back. Yes, and as I said at the open there, volumes are certainly up, so too are clearance rates. Just before we bring those up, we'll say hello once again to Kevin Brogan. G'day, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Things are starting to look up. Let's bring up those results now. Firstly, I'll just quickly run through them, Kevin, and then we'll get your take on them. Sydney 67.3%, Melbourne 61%, Brisbane 51.3%, Adelaide 57.6%. We're going to feature a property out of Adelaide for you today too. And Canberra 75.8%, giving us a national weighted average of 63.3%. Good news, Kevin.
Oh, look, it certainly is. That's up a fair bit, both in volume and the preliminary clearance rate. You can see there Sydney is leading the way in both volumes and clearance rate for the big two markets anyway. And we've often commented on Canberra being quite a resilient market, and as you can see there, a clearance rate of almost 76% off, modest volume, but nonetheless, it's been a consistent performer.
Yeah, really good. And we're looking there at a total of just over 1,100 auctions. So we're seeing the volume increase as well as the clearance rates, Kevin.
Yeah, look, we certainly are. Obviously, last week there was a bit of an interruption with the Queen's birthday long weekend in most states. I think it's worth noting. I think the number of auctions will continue to sit below where we saw them last year on a comparison basis, because a year ago today, don't forget, we're just seeing the start of that really big increase in market confidence after the federal election. So even through a recovery phase, which we hope will continue, we're probably going to be lagging a little bit behind that real boost in confidence that we saw about this time last year.
Yeah, well, of course, during the week too, another stimulus package, the home building stimulus package. I want to talk to you about that as well. We've got some graphs because I know that CoreLogic's been looking at that, and we'll have a look at what's being called the vacuum effect. But before we do that, Kevin, I just want to go to the feature property for this week, which is out of Adelaide, Linden Park, 14 Hughes Street. This one sold by Rain and Horns, John Cullen and Joel Anderson for $780,000. We'll take you through that one in just a moment. But Kevin, before we do, tell me a little bit about Linden Park.
Yeah, so Linden Park is about 6 kilometres to the southeast of Adelaide. It's a pretty well-regarded suburb. Population increase there has been about 6% over the last 5 years. And we have seen the median house price increase to $840,000. Now, that is a fraction down on 2019, but it's interesting, it is still higher than it was in 2018. Average ownership around 10 and a half years.
Well, this home, in fact, is a deceased estate. It was custom built, I think, from what the agent tells us, 2002, 2003. To accommodate a wheelchair, and particularly popular too, because just thinking about your median there, Kevin, this is sort of below the medium, so I imagine there would have been a lot of interest in this property. So let's take you through our feature property. This is from Linden Park at 14 Hughes Street, and John Cullen does the honours.
This custom designed and built home was built by Regent Homes back in 2002 and is now being sold to finalise the deceased estate. It has a beautiful facade with its Mintaro slate with up to 4 bedrooms and spacious living areas as well. Hi, I'm John Cullen from Rain and Horn Karalta Park and welcome to 14 Hughes Street, Linden Park. Let's go have a wander round. Upon entering the home, you'll notice the timber laminate flooring. And off to the right hand side are the dual sliding doors leading to the open plan lounge dining area, complete with bay window and feature marble fireplace. The Blackwood timber kitchen is very expansive, complete with cooktop, dishwasher, double sink, oven and double door pantry as well, and adjacent is the dining area. Downstairs is the master bedroom, which is a great size, has a walk-in robe and bathroom access as well. Upstairs are 3 more generous sized bedrooms, one with a walk-in robe and another with a built-in robe, and those bedrooms are serviced by the second bathroom. The upstairs area also has a balcony which provides beautiful views over the front garden. The rear courtyard is very low maintenance and is surrounded by an established garden bed.
Yeah, thanks, John. Lovely property, that one, Kevin. And as we said, it features very wide corridors, purpose-built so that for wheelchair access on the ground floor. Very, very practical. And very well sought after. Hey, Kevin, let's have a look at what is being called the vacuum effect. And this has come about because of the home builders stimulus. A lot of, a mixture, I guess, of excitement and also some criticism coming from exactly who's going to benefit from this, Kevin.
Yeah, look, I think there are obviously some criteria attached to this in terms of income levels, which can be up to 200,000. The value of the house or the dwelling to which the improvements are undertaken has to sit below 1.5 million. But it must also be a project with a total cost of over 150,000 and below 750,000. So there's some fairly tight criteria there. But there's also a fairly small window here. You've got to have your application for the grant in by the end of the year. And so the reason we call it the vacuum effect is that this is really going to be appealing to those people who perhaps have already got a project in mind or in train, because getting a $150,000 building project or renovation project up and running, getting all the approvals in place, it's something that's quite difficult to do from a standing start in a very short period of time. And so this is going to target those people who are perhaps already thinking of undertaking a project like this and maybe just bring their decision forwards a bit. So perhaps affecting the timing much more than it will affect the actual total number of projects.
Because it could be argued that a stimulus is just that, and the stimulus is put in place to bring forward building, which no doubt this will do. But the point you make there is that it's probably not going to create any or much new work. It'll more bring forward the work that was already in the pipeline, Kevin.
Yes, that's right. And I mean, we've certainly seen some precedent for this when we look at stimulus packages relating to first-time home buyers.
Well, having said that, let's bring up our first graphic, Kevin, and maybe you can talk us through that one, please.
Yeah, sure. So the original first-time home buyer grant came out in 2000 to combat the impact of GST. And what it did is it brought forward the buying decisions of first-time home buyers. And that is one of the impacts, but it is also a stimulus to the construction industry as well, and that's true this time round. But what it has done with those previous, particularly the first-time home buyers, is bring that demand forwards, because there's a finite number of first-time home buyers, and it borrows demand from the future, if you like, and then creates a little bit of a vacuum after the grant has expired.
It's probably even more dramatic when we look at a stimulus, what it does to applications for loans, which we saw there in the first graphic. But let's bring on our second graphic, which also overlays the impact of that stimulus on values. What do we see there, Kevin?
Yeah, so I think what we saw with the first-time home buyer grant was not a huge impact on values because of the affordability constraints that were available. But it's worth bearing in mind that these grants are a stimulus for the construction industry as well. So we did see some price increases as well as a result of those grants. But I mean, what we expect here is we're looking at some quite big projects, either construction projects of new dwellings up to 750,000, or renovation projects on properties up to 1.5 million. So this is specifically focused at things which add value to properties. So there's likely to be more of an impact on values this time.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. That's a great report. You'll find it on the CoreLogic website, corelogic.com.au. Kevin, just before we leave, we'll have another quick look at the preliminary auction results. Sydney 67.3%, Melbourne 61%, Brisbane 51.3%, Adelaide 57.6%. Great result out of Adelaide. You must be very proud of that one, mate. Perth 20%, Canberra 75.8%, and our weighted average of 63.3%. Kevin Brogan will be back with me again on Friday. We'll have a look at what's ahead and we'll give you the final numbers. Do you think they're going to change much, Kevin, between now and the end of the week?
Look, we always do see a little bit of a revision downwards, but the collection rates were fairly solid this week, particularly in Melbourne. So hopefully it'll only be a modest revision. And
how are you feeling about the week ahead? Are the auction numbers going to continue to grow?
Yeah, look, we've seen a continued trend of growth. Obviously, there was that interruption with the holiday weekend last week, but yes, it does look as if we're going to continue to see vendors coming to the market with scheduled auctions.
Very good. Kevin Brogan joins me every Monday, every Friday with our auction update with the compliments of CoreLogic, and we'll be back again on Friday with another update for you. Kevin Brogan, thanks. Have a great week. Talk to you on Friday.
Speak to you then.